Hi, everybody. We're about to hop into game one. I'm very excited. It's an adventure which I have entitled Float On. But as always, before we get going, we're going to take a brief moment and introduce our heroes. So, without further ado, let us begin. First up, I'm going to start off with Michael Verity, the Prince of Order. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you. Thank you very much. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
I'm very fine, as usual.
I'm glad to
Though
hear
I,
that.
though I had some trouble on the beach because Runefang made it really hard for me to sleep at night.
Oh, yes, I understand that you and Runefang recently did have a degree of conflict. But Michael, I'm glad to see that the two of you seem to have made up. You're out adventuring together once more. Um, and
Yes.
Michael, how does it feel to be on the precipice of, well, greater things?
It feels great actually. It feels absolutely wonderful. I look forward to even going more above and beyond and join the ranks of those in the myth.
Indeed, indeed. Is Michael have any jitters, any fear, or is Michael just a ball of confidence moving into the future?
I am a ball of confidence. I am a ball of confidence.
Yes.
The only
As
thing that
always,
the only
as
thing that did
always.
not make me a ball of confidence was Runefang on the beach. But let's forget about that.
And on the subject of therein, and Michael Verity, it is good to have you back, but on the subject of Runefang, Runefang is also joining us tonight. We have Runefang, and I believe this is your fabled tier debut, the champion of Bahamut and the Cloud.
Yes, yes, it is. I'm quite glad to actually survive my boss battle.
I mean, we're certainly glad that you did as well.
Though that hurt a lot.
Oh yes, oh yes. Now, Runefang, how are you kind of dealing with your newfound fame? I mean, is it a little bit odd because people around the land of DnDTime now just sort of recognize you and kind of know you by this title, the champion of Bahamut and the Cloud?
Made school a little more difficult than what it was.
Mm-hmm. Are any of the other sort of children that you go to school with, the Trigonome children, are they jealous of your kind of status? Do you get a lot of questions, or are most of them focused on their studies?
I get a lot of questions from the teachers, but the kids generally leave me alone.
Mm-hmm. Have you been making many friends at school, Runefang?
Eh, there are a few, but
Mm. Um,
I've been inspiring them to join Bartholomew when they're older.
well, I hope to see, although it's worked out very well for you at such a young age, but I do hope to see some of those gnomes amongst the ranks soon. Welcome tonight, Runefang.
Thank you.
Very good. And then next up, we have, I believe, Oldman and Othgarurt are both here.
Oh, hello there.
Oldman, how are you?
I'm exhausted. I can't wait to get back to adventuring.
Wait,
Those two,
Othgarurt.
exhausted and ready to adventure, do not go well together.
Yes,
in my
I was just
honest
about to
opinion.
ask. This does seem a bit odd, Oldman. Would you care to explain?
As Othgarurt found out, adventuring is so much easier than trying to clean out Mira's house.
It's so nice to have fresh air again.
So you've been doing some house cleaning. That house is a bit of a mess. Isn't even the right word. It is a hornet's nest of magical items.
The number of little dimensions she has hidden everywhere. And now that I finally had some muscle, we were able to get some big things out and deal with some of the living things.
Yes, of course, there's the tiger of terrible truths that does reside within.
No. Othgarurt, tell him what we had to deal with.
I still think we should hire some of our fellow adventurers to go in there for us.
I mean, Bartholomew hired adventurers to go in there because he certainly didn't want to. But Othgarurt, it seems you and Oldman have gotten fairly close, if I'm not mistaken. You guys kind of hanging out on the off adventuring days now.
Yes, he is very much like family.
Well, I'm glad to see that such friendships are being forged. Well, here amongst Bartholomew's adventuring troupe. And there was also, Oldman did hint that there was some kind of monstrous thing that was found. What was that?
I think the biggest problem for me was the sewage creature that would dispose of the plumbing.
Oh, oh,
Oh.
that is as
That
much
sounds
information I think as
disgusting.
I want to know about that.
Yeah, I
Being a
second
monster.
that, Runefang.
And then there was also the Minotaur. Man, he was really pissed off that labyrinth didn't have an exit for I don't even know how long I was stuck in there.
Needless to say, it seems that the two of you have been through something fairly harrying. But I welcome you tonight to, I guess, relax out here on your fabled deer adventure.
It was bonding, if nothing else.
Well, that is certainly good. And where our adventure brings us tonight is a place that is familiar to all of you, I imagine, in particularly recently, and that is the Plane of Dreams. Not the Plane of Nightmares, but the Plane of Dreams. And as you all sort of step into the space, you have already kind of transported yourselves there. There was a kind of a long and slightly arduous climb that Bartholomew does not have direct teleportation access to, where you had to climb up most of the Slumbering Spine and then sort of take rest in the Dreamwalker monastery atop it. But now you have all emerged into the Dreamwalker monastery proper, where Soam, the leader of the Dreamwalkers, apparently has some type of request for you. All that was said in the request form that Bartholomew kind of read to you before you were kind of sent out on this adventure was that the sheep were acting very strangely, and yeah, that's basically the only thing that you know. So you just kind of need to speak to Soam, and as you kind of come into the space, you're looking around, you see the Dreamwalkers going about their business, sort of training. You see several of them are over kind of on the side where the sheep pens are kept. The ironwool sheep are, they all appear to be floating, and you can see several. You can see several Dreamwalkers with big kind of like nets and tarps trying to like wrap them around them and kind of hold them down. But the sheep are just kind of floating in the space, just seemingly at random. They appear like they've become almost weightless. It is kind of getting on into the evening as you arrive here. What do you all wish to do?
Guess the sheep have become living clouds. Finger guns.
That was lame.
I know that was late, but I had to make some kind of joke.
Last time I was here, I had to find a painting.
I was
wonder if
really
we will have
hoping
to-
you would be able to go to sleep.
I wonder if we will have to count the sheep for them.
Yeah, no. I'd rather fall back asleep and go into the real world and do that.
As you guys are kind of having this conversation, you kind of stepped up over near the sheep pen, and they're just kind of floating around, just like a couple of them bounce into each other, and as they hit each other, you hear sort of you hear the sound. It sounds almost like rubber clashing against rubber, kind of a boom sound as they hit each other, and they both kind of fly off in different directions. And the Dreamwalkers, the monks around there, are all just doing their best to kind of contain them and keep them down in the pen. As these sheep are fairly valuable, their wool is a pretty precious resource. And as you're kind of observing this, you see kind of Soam walk up to you and just goes, "Ah, hello. I see that you have already detected our issue."
It's kind of hard to miss.
Yes.
So your
I'm
sheep...
sorry, what's the issue?
Well, you see, these sheep, they do not normally float.
Oh, they're not supposed to do that.
No, they are not supposed to do this.
Your sheep have become balloons.
That
Very
is a
interesting.
That is a very apt way of putting it, yes. The sheep have become balloons. And I am not 100% certain what is causing it, but I suspect it has something to do with the voice that I've been hearing.
The voice.
Please explain.
Yes, I've been hearing this sort of, and as she's kind of in the middle of this sentence, all of you hear speaking into your heads directly. You hear a fairly intimidating voice, and it's just saying, "Float, float with me, float."
Well, I have some good news, Soam. You're not crazy.
Yeah, why am I here? Why am I hearing people telling me to float? I'd rather not. I'd rather not want to fly. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for that. I was thinking for a second though that we were both crazy.
Yes,
I
absolutely.
would very much like to fly.
I have absolute confidence that I am not crazy, but, well, a couple of my, and she kind of continues and walks you onward into the monastery, and she shows you inside the monastery proper. There's a couple of dreamwalker monks that are kind of up against the ceiling and kind of like bumping and bouncing into it, and they appear to have been almost inflated to a degree. It seems that it has some effect. I felt it pull on me a couple of times, but I was able to resist. But some of the younger individuals here were not so stalwart.
Have they tried burping?
Try burping. You hear one of them kind of go, "Arr," and nothing seems to happen. It does not appear that that is going to solve it.
It seems to work in that one movie.
Yes, well, I thought it was a good try. That's why I told him to go for it. But I believe that you'll have to find the source of this strange voice. And the only place I can think it might be is in the caves beneath this mountain. In the Underdream.
Underdream. Why do I get the feeling that sounds like we're just going back into the real world?
No, I believe it's a layer underneath this one.
Are you familiar with the Underdark?
Yes. Okay. Oh, and then it clicks in my head. Oh, I get it. Nice. I see what you did there.
It's not my own creation, that is just what we call it. You see, the things in the Underdark, they also have dreams. And those dreams end up here.
Why can't we go to the above light?
We can do that after if you'd like. And you kind of look upwards, and there's just a lot of these like kind of bright, kind of pointy points of light that are up above, like these really bright, perfect stars that are way too dense. We can take a walk there after if you would like. It's very beautiful up there. I recommend that everyone sees it before. Well, when they have a chance.
That sounds wonderful. I could really use a break.
Very good.
Well, please lead us on. Where is the entrance to said caves?
We do not travel very much in the caves. They are dangerous. Of course, that is why we have hired such competent adventurers as yourselves. However, if you follow me, I can at least lead you to the entrance. You will have to pick it for yourselves from there. And she leads you onwards, kind of away from the monastery, and begin kind of climbing down. The view from the top of the monastery is fairly breathtaking as you're kind of looking from the top of the mountain down on the whole of the Plain of Dreams. And you're kind of descending on a fairly well-worn path over on the side of the on the side of the mountain where there are kind of steps leading downwards. Eventually you kind of arrive at what appears to be a cave where the inside is made up mostly of kind of phosphorescent blues, purples, and green sort of crystals that are embedded into the wall, giving off a dull glow. This cave sort of leads into the side of the mountain. We harvest these crystals, the kind of fragments of them. We often use them to shear our ironwool sheep. We don't go too much farther than the first few steps. So somewhere in there, I hope there is a passage to the Underdream, and you will have to find it.
Fair enough. So, I guess I volunteer to go in first, everyone?
At least our path is lit.
And as you're kind of saying that, as you're kind of making that statement, I volunteer to go first, you hear in your mind, Michael Verity, yes, come, join me.
And I start to sweat a little bit hearing that voice and but I still go first anyway.
All right, Michael Verity begins stepping forward into the cave. As I said before, the kind of luminescence of the crystals lights your way to a degree, and the kind of shades of light that it casts create a little bit of an eerie space with all of the odd colored shadows that it leaves. As all of you kind of proceed into the cave, is there anything that you want to do, or are you just going to kind of like follow ahead and just kind of follow the path as it leads you?
Follow the path.
All right.
Well, wait. Why don't I have that? I'm going to cast dancing lights to sort of counteract all of the weird stuff, so it looks more normal and nice and peacefully bright.
Very well. The dancing lights pop up in the space, and I wouldn't say it looks normal, but the reflections, as they're kind of refracting off of all these kind of colored crystals, are certainly beautiful. And you kind of continue onwards, and you feel that the cave does kind of have a steady downward, a little bit of a steady downward kind of slope to it. And you enter now into a sort of a larger open cavern, and you can see that there are fissures in the walls with various sort of crystals that have kind of like cracked, leaving openings, and it looks like there's like 6 or 7 different paths that are kind of available to you now to go down, and as kind of Soam said, you'll have to find which path to go down, and as you're standing in this space, you hear kind of the voice within your brain, "You're coming to see me, yes." All of you hear this.
Tell us where to freaking go.
Of course. And you kind of all receive a vision in your mind of one of those like cracked walls in the crystal. It shows you kind of climbing through that one, directing you down a path to the left. Do you follow those instructions? Or?
Are we really gonna trust this thing?
And we have no choice.
I mean, we have, looks like 6 choices.
Part of me thinks this is reverse psychology, and we should actually take the right path.
And then we can go back.
But you know what? I'm going to. I think considering how many choices there are, and this guy is giving us a specific one, let's just take the left path.
The leftmost.
Yep.
You follow the path that he recommends?
Yes. Just because there's no way else to figure that out.
Okay. In that case, you kind of, as you're following his instructions, you just kind of hear the voice in your brain go, Good. You'll float with me soon." And you kind of delve further into this cave of crystals. You kind of hand over hand, you're sort of reaching downwards. The crack in the crystal wall is very narrow, and each of you kind of have to sidle along sideways. But as you're kind of moving through this tight space, the crystals seem to be left behind to a degree, and it's just kind of this very this oddly sort of soft black stone that's on the wall. It feels like almost a softer version of like a pumice, and it has give as you're kind of pushing on the walls. And as you kind of emerge now into a larger space, your dancing lights become completely necessary, Oldman, as the space is dark, other than the light that you've created. You kind of continue downwards.
Michael, come here real quick.
Yes, Oldman?
And I'm gonna cast light on his shield. I know he loves that.
Yes, I do. Thank you, Oldman. You know I love that.
And I'm most likely the only one who can see in the dark.
I believe that is the case. Wait, do you have dark vision, Othgarurt?
I do not think so.
I have it.
Wait, really?
I'm a gnome.
I always forget that. I always picture Oldman as a human. I'm such a fool. All right, you kind of continue forward for a stretch, and you feel kind of a sudden rush of wind come up from the kind of tunnel above as it begins to widen and kind of moves towards where you are.
Well, that doesn't feel ominous, Reese.
And as you say that, Runefang, that doesn't feel ominous. As you're kind of like breathing in some of this air, it sort of comes out as, "That doesn't sound ominous," as your voice has been suddenly strangely pitched up.
Oh no, or is this cave full of helium? Oh dear.
What do you think?
And all of you now find your voices have been affected in a similar way for a few brief moments as that kind of wind passed over the space.
This got awkward really fast!
I don't like this new voice.
And you see that kind of the source of that wind is a little bit up ahead, and you're now kind of coming up to a larger, more open cavern, and from the kind of bottom of it, it just seems to be a pit below, but occasionally, kind of within that pit, there's just a big rush of wind, and that wind does appear to be helium. There is a path that sort of leads around this open space, kind of pushing you forward, that would allow you to kind of walk around this cavern, but you hear the voice in your head speak once more. And what it says to you is, do not step along the path. Let the helium guide you. Float towards me. As he kind of shows you an image of the group of you kind of just diving into the pit, and the helium sort of buoying you up. Path is safe.
Is there like a stray rock in the cave that I could just throw in the pit and be like, how about no?
Yeah, you pick up a kind of a piece of rock. Like I said, the walls in this cave are a little bit squishy. You can kind of almost like dig your hand into it and just pull a chunk of wall out. With this
I'm just gonna do that and throw. I'm gonna yeet a rock down the pit and be like, how about no?
All right, yeah. You toss it, and the rock kind of wavers and hovers a little bit. And even before the gust of wind flies, the rock just seems to float on its own, and just kind of slowly wavers and wobbles across the cavern, even kind of gaining ground, flying up higher towards the ceiling as it moves.
Okay, was not expecting that at all.
Looking at Soam's acolytes, I don't think we should really do that. We don't really have a way to, cure it.
What do you mean, hear it? We've been hearing this voice ever since we've got here.
Cure it.
Come, float.
Only one thing to do. Just freaking walks off the pit. Yeet!
Oh, you're gonna go for the pit and not take the path?
I'm just gonna yeet, just falls off.
Alright, so for a brief moment, you all watch as Michael Verity just steps and falls off the side of the pit, and there's a moment of panic, Michael, as you're just kind of, this was a terrible idea, and you're just plummeting downwards towards ground. But then
and all you see is a light just slowly fading from the shield.
Indeed, and then all of a sudden, there's a rush of this kind of wind, and while you're breathing in what is probably an unhealthy amount of helium, you are kind of buffeted upwards, and you'll find yourself kind of floating in the space.
Okay, boys. Can you not? Can this be anything other than helium? Because I cannot take this.
I need you to make me a Constitution saving throw.
Your susceptibility to suggestion is why you tried to kill everyone earlier.
Fair point.
It's also where I tried stabbing you.
Yeah, you're. You don't notice anything too much, and now you're just kind of like floating along. With the kind of momentum of your initial jump forward, you're floating and kind of even moving upwards along with this gust of helium, and you get to the, you seemingly kind of get to the other side without too much issue. What is your sort of passive perception, Michael?
13.
You say 14?
13. 1,
okay.
3.
Okay. Yeah, you're just a little bit quiet for me there. So, yeah, that's it. You get across to the other side. Michael seems to have done it.
Is he on his feet now?
Yeah, he got all the way across the cave. He did not take the path, and he just kind of like dived across and used the helium to buoy him.
I feel like taking the path anyway. I don't imagine that's too healthy.
Fair enough. So Oldman begins to kind of step around the outside along the path, and as you begin walking,
trust your judgment.
I'm gonna trust his judgment as well.
All right, because as you begin kind of walking around the path, and as you do so, you hear the voice kind of in your minds, kind of speak out to you. That is not the the instruction I gave. Take the pit. The path is filled with danger. As you kind of, I assume, heedless of that, continue down the path?
Yep.
As you just kind of ignore the voice, and you're moving along the path, kind of in the wall of this cave, what are your passive perceptions?
Got an 11 here.
12.
14.
14. Othgarurt, you barely got it. And as you're kind of moving along, it just kind of appears to be something in the rock face that's a little bit off, and you're looking at it, it appears to be like almost a translucent chunk of rock. You kind of turn your head and you're just examining it for a moment, and then that part of the rock face kind of moves outward and kind of puts two what appear to be tentacles onto your arms. But as they lash out and kind of reach and rest onto your arms, they appear to be two balloons. And along the kind of side of it, a larger balloon face kind of opens up, a single eye in the darkness, as this strange, what looks like some kind of balloon beholder, or something at least similar to it, kind of, its eye opens in the dark and kind of looks at you. And it just says, "Hello."
I've changed my mind. I do not want to fly. Please let me go.
Oh, not a problem at all. Welcome to my cave. What brings you by here?
Do we notice this, or is he still the only one?
No, it's speaking directly into your mind, Othgarurt.
Okay.
We are seeking solution to save some strange sheep from floating.
Ooh, I don't know why you'd want to save someone from floating. It's delightful. And it kind of bounds off the wall and kind of flies out into like the helium, the kind of like helium-filled cavern. And as the helium rush kind of flies up underneath it, you see it swells a little bit inside, and some of like kind of parts of its body that were circular, more tentacles seem to kind of inflate and create more and more of them. And at this point, all of you see this thing because it's kind of moved itself more into the open, and it now kind of speaks to all of you telepathically, or at least the three of you that are kind of walking along this path. Would you like to see a trick that I can do?
As long as we are not harmed in the doing of this trick, I've been to Marvelo's show. I know how dangerous tricks can be.
This isn't a dangerous trick at all. Tell me, what are your favorite animals?
Ooh, I like this trick. Well, I have this pet. He's a little dragon wormling. And I have another one that's a tiger.
A tiger. Wonderful. What about you two?
I guess I would have to say dragon, since my deity is a dragon.
A dragon and a tiger. And you, it looks to you, Elgar.
I was going to say pseudo-dragon, but just so we can all be different, penguin.
A penguin. I don't know what a penguin is, but I'll do my best. And you
I
watch
don't know either.
and you watch as the arms, the kind of balloon-like arms, twist and turn as he kind of folds each of them into a balloon animal of your kind of respective animals. You see kind of, there's a very perfect, or by perfect I mean perfect as far as balloon animals go, tiger and dragon. He even got the little wings on the back, and the head has kind of a nice little kind of pointed snout that he did a pretty impressive job of creating these balloon animals. And for the penguin, he just kind of makes something that looks like something that looks a little bit like an iguana is kind of what he ends up on, but it's got like kind of like a ridged back, and he goes, I thought maybe like pens coming out of the back. That's what I thought a penguin was. What did you think?
I think you're right. That is probably a penguin.
I thought penguins were supposed to be flightless birds.
Oh, they're birds. I'll remember that for next time someone requests a penguin. You see, I get so few people that visit me down here. I don't get anyone, all this time to practice and no one to really show off to. Well, what are your tricks?
Well, first, Oldman is going to grab his dagger and put it in front of his face and go, true, true. Oh, this is so fun.
Wait, what are you doing?
He's just holding up in front of him saying, true, true.
Oh, yes. You grab the tiger. The tiger is still connected to him because it was one of his tentacles that were, that he just kind of like twisted and contorted into these shapes. But you're kind of like holding that tentacle up, kind of near your face as this thing appears to be some kind of weird sentient balloon. As I was saying, I'd like to see what your tricks are. Of course, I mean, you wouldn't just have me show you, lay my soul bare here artistically, and not do the same.
Well, I can show you by drawing you. That's probably my best one.
Oh, very good. I'd love to see that. And the two of you.
Please do not take this the wrong way, but I wish to show you my halberd. I made it myself.
And as you kind of like pull out the halberd, you see that this individual goes, "Whoa, that seems sharp," and kind of floats back a little bit. Be careful with that.
Please be careful.
I just realized, I wonder if anyone else notices the big beacon of light that is my shield on the other side of the pit.
Oh yeah, you're just standing there kind of like looking over, you see them in the distance kind of talking to this guy. Just, oh, man, you should have gone this way, it was way faster. Alright, so go ahead and, so you're gonna try and draw this guy?
Of course.
Go ahead and make me
I have my sketch.
a check with your painter supplies, is that what you use?
Oh, well, why do I suck?
The kind of, the thing that you show him, he looks a little bit dissatisfied as you, as you kind of draw this, you know, rough version. It's hard to get all of the details, there's not great lighting, and drawing all the kind of weird contortions of the balloon animal tentacles, and he looks at it and goes, I'm
appalled.
I laid my soul bare to you, and this is what you show me.
It's a rough sketch, and I'm trying to get all of the animals. It's like drawing multiple things at once.
I see how it is. What about you other two? And you're going to show him your halberd. Yeah, I think that counts, because that's something that you yourself crafted, and, you know, spent a great deal of time on. What check would I say that this would be? This is probably, do you have, like, a crafting skill that you made this with? Othgarurt?
Yes, it is a tradition passed on among my people.
You know, it looks like what it looks like, so this isn't, like, but this is just to see, like, how it kind of, how it appeals to this individual. So why don't you make me a check with your, whatever crafting tool that you have.
Slight problem with that.
You don't have a crafting tool skill,
Okay,
does he? I think he's using a natural
either
ability.
survival or straight up wisdom.
30.
Or just, you know, survival. Survival. I wish it wasn't quite so sharp, but very impressive. Made from real bone. I wonder what it's like to have bones. Do you like having bones?
Bones are very nice.
Someday
Bones are what hold us up.
maybe.
I do wish they were more flexible, though.
And having two of you shown this individual your art, he looks now towards you, Runefang, expectantly.
Well, I seem to have forgot my sword back at Bartholomew's shop, so I'll call it to my hand.
Alright. Are you gonna do it with some kind of, like, dramatic flair?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you kind of summon your weapon in the space. Is the art that you're doing just showing him the weapon, or is the art, like, the act of you summoning it? I assume your trick is the act of you summoning it?
Yeah, the act of summoning it.
Yes, very good. So why don't you go ahead and make me, I'll let you make this either a performance check or a spellcasting check. Spellcasting ability check. 12, performance! You kind of summon the weapon, conjuring it into midair, and he goes, whoa, whoa, and kind of doubles back again because now there's another sharp object in the space. But you see he quickly unfurls the balloons and just begins kind of like clapping them together, and they make that very soft, impotent sounds of balloons kind of banging against each other, which isn't very impressive for applause, but it does seem that he's pretty satisfied with your performance. He goes, very good, very good. It's so nice to see people down here. Like I said, I never get to meet anyone. And I was thinking about draining all of your blood and taking your bones and using them for me, too. But, well, the three of you are just delightful. Perhaps I'll see you again on your way out.
Why don't you ever come
You
up?
have our friend over there.
If you would do so.
Runefang points with his sword to the beak of light.
Oh dear! No,
Seems
I
like
have a
some
trick to
bones
show him.
I have.
Oh no! Don't make me show a trick that I don't have.
Yeah, Michael Verity, you kind of see that you're being pointed at, and you just kind of like slink into like the next chamber.
I'm just gonna be like, hi, I'm just gonna be over here, and just goes to the next chamber.
He goes, oh, it's fine, I've been entertained plenty. And perhaps I'll meet him on the way up. Like I said, I love meeting new people. And bones, yes, if you have bones, I would love to try and do something with those. It's
Yes,
just...
I collect bones in my travels. I have some bones of... Well, they are very brittle bones, but I have some bones of birds.
He also has bones of a sewer creature. That was an interesting one.
Absolutely. I mean, I certainly... there's certainly more than... let me show you my fiercest attack. And one of the tentacles kind of whips up and hits you in the side of the head, Othgarurt, and it feels like it would if a balloon hit you in the side of the head. So anything will be an improvement. Thank you so much. I assume if you're coming down here, you are drawn in by the voice of the Elder Balloon, so I will leave you to it.
You have a nice day. I hope to see you soon.
Yes, perhaps you can see some more of my creations, and you watch as he kind of twists all of the tentacled arms into various odd balloon animals that seem to be reflecting some of the aberrations that are often found in the Underdark.
Runefang points one. That kind of looks like Sawcrest.
Because I don't know who that is, but that's it. I don't know who that is. Do you proceed?
I suppose so.
Very well. Kind of waves goodbye, and you kind of move onward. Michael Verity up ahead, shield still kind of beaming in the darkness. Although actually, at this point, the light probably winked out after the minute was up. And right as you're kind of getting there, Michael Verity, your shield winks out, and I assume, Oldman, you just re-up it?
Let me fix that. No, you missed the guy back there. He was so kind to us.
I'm lucky. I'd rather not. Can I just say
very
that?
interesting.
But then I heard something about draining blood and bones, and I'm like, maybe not.
Oh, he just has hobbies.
I myself have been known to drain blood and extract bones from time to time.
Fair point.
Very good. And the group of you sort of continue forward, and as you're walking along the cave's walls, you start to see what appear to be small sort of growths on the kind of ground, what it looks like plants and moss, but closer inspection, they actually appear to be just sort of like tiny balloons that are growing up from the ground on like little strings, and they are inflated, and they make kind of a strange, almost like grass on the ground, and with each sort of step, it's hard to avoid them, and you hear kind of the sounds with each step of a bunch of these tiny little balloons sort of popping, and they grow and kind of step from the sides of the walls too, as you move onward into an even sort of greater and larger chamber. More of these sort of gusts of wind and of kind of helium are pouring up through the very porous ground.
I hold my breath. I hold my breath instead of because I'd rather not.
Yes. You're definitely all probably starting to get just a little bit lightheaded from just too much exposure to this. It's not like the air is just helium, but definitely too much so. And here in the space, you're seeing more in these balloon-like plants that are growing up from the ground, and they are larger and more full. Some of them are massive as you're moving into a cavern greater in size, and with the kind of dancing lights reflecting around, as well as the light upon Michael Verity's shield. The space that you're standing in now is actually fairly beautiful. All of these like bright and multicolored balloons kind of just dominating and kind of owning this space. One balloon in particular seems significantly larger than the other ones. It is a bright pink, and it is sort of odd and bulbous in its shape, with different kind of like bumps and ridges around the outside of it. And you hear kind of the voice speak into your mind. Yes, you have finally come. Float with me.
I'd rather not.
I don't listen, and instead I poke the pink balloon with my finger.
Oh, the pink balloon is floating high up in the cave, very high above you.
Never mind.
But you see a lot of these balloons. You kind of begin sort of, you kind of like, are feeling around touching them. They seem like they might actually like support weight. They are like floating perfectly in place.
Should we climb up there?
Well, there's no other path as far as I can tell, so yes?
You could like climb the walls. The walls are very porous, and there's also more of like the wind jets if you want to try and like fly up like you did before.
I'd rather not be inflated.
Runefang, what were you saying?
I wonder how high I can jump.
As he says as he's stroking his chin.
Yeah, Runefang, you kind of you just gonna chance it? Just gonna try for it?
Yep.
Runefang, you bound upwards, and you're already kind of unnaturally powerful legs, or I guess naturally for you, but normal for a bunny folk, but exceptional by any other means. You push offwards and upwards, and you go probably double the normal height that you do, as you really like soar up into the air.
Oh, I could get used to this.
Yeah, it feels a little bit like almost low gravity in the space that you're in.
Would come in handy for getting stuff off the top shelf.
And as you're kind of jumping around, you watch as a couple of balloons seem to move and float down towards you. And these balloons also have faces very much like the kind of last balloon holder that you saw a second ago. And they have kind of these tentacled-looking mouths and two sort of eyes as they come up to you. And as they get closer, they speak to you also telepathically, saying, "Yes, join the Elder. Float with us. Come. And two of these things kind of float down and move up to you. What do you guys do?
Yep. I'm gonna try and land on their head.
Yeah, alright, go ahead and make me an acrobatics or athletics check, whichever you prefer.
Athletics, since I have proficiency in it.
Yeah, absolutely. You jump up and land on the head of this strange kind of helium, what appears to be some kind of helium mind flayer, a heliathid, if you will, and you kind of bounce on its head, and as you land on it fairly perfectly, you have a lot of control in this space, even more so than you usually do with your jumps. It doesn't seem to mind that you've landed on it, and it starts kind of floating up towards that large, massive pink balloon at the center of the room.
It's okay, guys! Runefang calls down to the others.
Yeah, Runefang, you see Runefang just kind of slowly disappearing, and it's getting harder to see for everyone else as you're moving a little bit outside the radius of light as you move higher up into the cave. But you guys just kind of see Runefang disappear into the darkness, riding on one of these riding on one of these strange creatures. The other one still kind of sits there beckoning. Come, float with us.
I'm at a loss. It's your call, big guy.
Runefang, as you get up closer to the larger balloon, you see that this huge pink balloon actually appears to be, shaped like a massive brain, and that voice speaks to you. Are you ready to float?
No, I just wanted to come closer.
That's a shame. You'll very much enjoy it, I promise. And you watch as kind of strings and tendrils begin to kind of coil out of it, like pieces of the balloon that seem to be inflating like tentacles, kind of reaching out towards you, floating on this other kind of heliolithid. What do you do, Runefang?
Time to start popping tentacles.
I'm gonna shoot a message up and ask what's going on up there.
I'm being attacked by a giant balloon brain.
Well then.
What's
Hey guys, he's being attacked!
Well, I will miss him.
So you're going to try and like stab at those tentacles that are coming at you?
Yep.
What are you attacking with?
The short sword that I conjured into my hand.
What type of damage is that?
Piercing.
Okay. Go ahead and make me... Actually, you know what? Before you even make an attack roll, the minute you kind of draw your short sword, you see as like several of these kind of heliolithids, which there appears to be more of them in the space up above you, they all kind of look, and you hear just all of a sudden feel some like sharp pain in your mind as all of them begin kind of crying out at once. You hear things, "He carries an accursed needle!" The elder brain, or the elder balloon, as it were, kind of, you feel kind of like an intense pressure of like a wave of emotion that it seems to have given off like unnaturally and unintentionally, as this creature is definitely expressing some profound fear of the object that you have created. The elder brain speaks to you once more. Drop the needle or die.
How about no? And I will
All right, yeah, go ahead.
sticking it to the one below
Go ahead
me.
and make your attack roll. Are you attacking like the tentacles that were coming after you, or are you attacking just the thing that's? Oh, you're attacking the one that you're riding on top of.
Yep.
All right, go ahead and make me an attack roll.
Wait, no, won't you fall though? You pop?
That's the plan.
So you stab downward with your short sword. Go ahead and roll damage on that. And as you do so, the balloon below you just pop, it just kind of explodes, and you hear as it does so, it sort of cries out in this no, pop, and then it's just gone. And you see, kind of as the other ones become very agitated, like kind of like tentacled mouths on these balloons, flaring and kind of moving about. I'd like you to roll for initiative.
Question: how high is said pink balloon brain from where we're standing?
It's about 60 feet up.
Ooh, perfect! I love where this is going.
The elder balloon is gonna roll for initiative, but he's gonna do it publicly, not to GM. And we'll just have everyone go at the same time. Oh wow, you guys crushed it.
I'm pretty sure Othgarurt crushed it more.
Oh well, I said that before, and in that case, the first to act is you, Michael Verity. What do you wish to do?
Oh, so you hate pointy things, I see. I just pull out my crossbow and aim it straight at the big pink brain.
All right, go ahead and make an attack roll.
Choo! And yoop.
Your crossbow bolt flies and hits true. Go ahead and roll damage on that. 2
piercing
damage. As it flies upwards, you hear kind of some of the various heliothids above. They're speaking just out loud now, and some of them are calling out, "Flying needles!" It strikes into the side of the huge kind of pink balloon, and it kind of digs in a little bit, and as it does so, it kind of presses deep in, and then boing, kind of flies outwards and down towards the ground, shooting back down directly at you. I would like you to roll me that attack roll again.
Oh no! Oh no. That doesn't hit me.
It does not hit you. As it kind of flies back down at you, it kind of just clinks harmlessly off of your armor, and it definitely seems to have left an impression where it hit, but it seems that the Elder Balloon was made of a thicker rubber than most of these other ones. That is going to bring us then... I'm sorry, do you have anything else on your turn, Michael?
No. Even with an action search, I don't think that's going to cut it for me attacking again,
What
so
level
I'm
are
just
you?
going to... What?
What level are you? Oh, you can only attack with the crossbow once. That's why I was confused about not the extra attack. Very good.
I'll just end my turn there and not move at all.
Alright. And just for clarity of mechanics right now, if you want to move in this space, you can climb up via the balloons, and you will essentially have what is... you guys essentially all have a flying speed in this space, but you have to make an athletics or acrobatics check to ascend vertically. And that's going to bring us to Oldman. What do you want to do?
Okay, so Runefang is not actively plummeting to the ground.
Runefang? Runefang is kind of fallen down a chunk, but actually, and yes, on the subject of that, I forgot to resolve that. Runefang, I need you to make me a dexterity saving throw. My apologies. So Runefang, you drop down maybe like 10 or 20 feet, and then kind of grab onto another balloon and are just kind of hanging in air. You don't plummet all the way down to the ground.
Holding on to the balloon with one hand and sword in the other.
Yes. Very good. So yeah, you see that he's not actively plummeting down to the ground. What do you do, Oldman?
Okay, so are all of these smaller heliothids close to the giant balloon?
Kind of where are they, was your question?
Yeah, in relation to the giant balloon.
Kind of flying around, above, below. There's maybe like 10 or 12 of them, all kind of spread out in kind of a sphere around him, very much kind of gravitating towards him.
Well, right now I think I'm just going to put on my mage armor and we'll play it by ear.
If you're going for some kind of like AoE attack, was your question? Then, just tell me like the radius, and I'll tell you about how many you could get if you're going to go for max.
It's not a radius. That's not a thing.
The dreaded arcane language of the internet.
10 feet, 30 feet long, 10 feet wide, 10 feet tall.
Oh god.
Oh, it's a line.
Yeah, you could probably get 5 or 6 of them with that. And by that, I mean, you could get 5 of them with that.
Okay, including the giant one?
If you wanted to get the giant one, you could get the giant one and then 4. Yeah.
Okay, let's just, wipe them all out.
Wait, one more question. For tidal wave, is that on the ground? Because this thing's floating 60 feet above you right now. Is that?
It does. Let me get the text. It does not specify ground.
So you're just like conjuring this huge torrent of water up in the space?
Supposedly.
Radical. All right, that's totally fine. You all of a sudden conjure this huge tidal wave. You watch as Oldman kind of waves his hand, and a massive torrent of water flies outward above. It kind of ricochets into these balloons, striking them on the side. They kind of scatter and are thrown all around in the space, but they come out of it unfazed. As much as they do not like piercing damage, these creatures appear to be completely immune to bludgeoning damage.
Well, that could have gone better.
We could have used that for washing the third closet.
You'd think, but that might destroy it.
That's gonna bring us to Runefang. Or do you have anything else on your turn, Oldman?
That's about it. We learned something very important today, boys.
You did. Runefang, what's it gonna be?
Let's see how they like magic missile.
Wonderful.
1, 2, 3. They're gonna go through.
Are you shooting at the kind of the larger brain in the center, or some of the smaller balloons on the outside?
First one, the larger balloon, and then 2 of the smaller ones.
Okay. The magic missile kind of courses into the larger brain, where it explodes. You watch as the entire balloon kind of ripples and shakes. It definitely seems to have, struck it. It seems to have weakened it a little bit. The other 2 fly out and strike 2 of these smaller, the smaller kind of heliolithids. With those 2 strikes, neither is enough to finish either of them off. Although you see for a second, it looks like both of them are about to burst.
Seeing this, Runefang will call down to the rest of the party. Try piercing or force.
Okay. I wonder how they think about something with blades on every side.
Anything else on your turn, Runefang?
Drop down more.
All right, you kind of fall down. How far down do you want to go? You're about 20 feet below the creature right now.
Let's go another 10.
All right. Go ahead and make me an acrobatics and/or an athletics check. See if you're well. Yep, no problem. You drop down another feet, catch yourself agilely on another balloon, and you're standing there resting now. As we move on to foe turn, for starters, a whole bunch of these heliolithids are going to kind of swarm downwards. Most of you are at ground level, so that's where they're going to go. There are now, of the kind of 11 that were there and thrown about by the torrent of the tidal wave, there are 8 of them kind of now on the ground in the space around all of you, but they have to use double moves to get down to where you guys are on the ground. The ones that are over kind of near you are going to lash out at you, Runefang, from a higher point, because they can get to you and do something. I would like you to make me a Constitution saving throw. And actually, I would like you to make me 2 more Constitution saving throws. Okay.
No.
You watch as all of a sudden they're kind of from their tentacled mouths, they begin to breathe in, and for a second they all kind of inflate, and then all of them blast out at you at once with helium. And you feel that kind of, they were almost trying to like shoot the helium into you. And as they kind of hit you with it, you feel yourself begin to inflate to a degree. Your body kind of swells. You resist one of them, but the other 2, you feel your arms and kind of hands begin to become more balloon-like, very much like you saw those individuals that were back in the Dreamwalker monastery, and you find yourself beginning to lose control of your movement, as you're now this kind of oddly inflated rabbit kind of pushing upwards. It feels very unpleasant. It feels like your insides are kind of like bursting out a little bit. Like, you feel like if this happened too many times, you might just pop.
Oh god, I feel bloated.
And you begin to kind of float upwards now. You now just have a flying speed of 30 feet into space, or whatever your normal movement is. The ones that are on the ground do nothing, and then the Elder Balloon is going to take its turn. And what it is going to do is... I would like all of you to make me... I would like all of you on the ground to make me a intelligence saving throw.
That is the first. I've never made an intelligence saving throw before, but okay. Dear, I think I failed.
10 is not going to do it. A 12 is actually also not going to do it, but a 16 will. As you... both of you are going to suffer... What? Ah! Well, I want to go... 14 points of psychic damage. as this huge kind of like psychoactive blast from the Elder Brain kind of flies out. And those of you who failed also begin to experience this same effect. You're not at the same point that you see Runefang is at now, but as the psychic blast kind of enters into your mind, you find that you're just starting to feel a little bit pushed out at the outsides. Your arms feel a little bit thicker, your fingers a little bit more unwieldy. And that is all for Faux Turn. That is going to bring us to Othgarurt. What do you wish to do?
I have a question.
Yes.
Did that affect me at all?
No, you were fine on that. Just Oldman and Michael. What do you want to do, Othgarurt?
Well, I heard shouting of pointiness. So I shall draw the Frankenblade,
Oh dear.
and I shall leap at the largest balloon.
Alright, the largest balloon is currently 60 feet above you. So are you going to take a dash action to get up there?
Yes.
Alright, go ahead and make me an athletics or acrobatics check. Oh! You go to kind of climb up onto one of the balloons, but as you hit it, it just kind of slides up. You're unable to get a steady grasp, and you kind of fall back down to the ground. You're not going to be able to get up there this round. You still have your action if you want to attack one of the ones on the ground, or you can use your dash action to try again and get halfway there, but you won't be up next to it yet.
Well, halfway is better than no way.
Alright, make me another one. Alright, so you get kind of halfway up. You can now see it kind of getting closer, although it's a little bit dark up here, but you're now climbing on balloons, and you can sense where it is just from the psychic connection it seems to have to the minds of all creatures around it. And you still have a bonus action. Anything else you want to do?
Yes. I'm going to enter a rage.
Yes.
A frenzied rage.
But of course, Othgarurt, you channel your fury as we move back to the top of the initiative, which I believe was you, Michael. What do you want to do?
I feel very. Why do I feel funny with this weird inflaty thing happening in my arms? But anyway, so there's like about 8 of those things on the ground trying to attack.
Getting down, kind of starting to surround you.
Oh, well, in that case, I pull out my sword and I shall pop them.
All right.
Give me a second. Make 2 attacks. Boom and boom.
18 hits,
do it.
and 10 also hits. Roll damage on that.
It's 2. Okay, I was not
these are
expecting
not
that.
super hard to hit.
7. If the 7 kills it, the attack will go to another one.
7 slashing damage, that is?
Yeah.
7 slashing is actually still just enough to kill one of these things. As the longsword slashes, it cuts into the side of the balloon, and you watch as it kind of rips and tears open, and then and flies around the room for a little bit before careening off into nothingness.
Okay, so the second attack goes to another one.
Yep, roll damage on that one. Oof, an 11.
And that one's also dead.
Same thing. Zips around the room. With kind of your longsword swings, other balloons also are just kind of getting caught up because the space is so dense with them. And now, from all like the movement and kerfuffle throughout the battlefield, lots of these balloons are just kind of deflating and flying around. It's becoming more and more chaotic.
I'm not done yet because I'm going to action surge and I'm going to attack 2 more times.
Go for it.
Boom and boom. Oh dear.
I mean, you killed one of them for sure, but roll damage on the 21. I guess roll damage on both because I think it's possible for you not to kill it.
Another one dead and another one dead.
Yep, 2 more. There's only 4 kind of left on the ground as we get to the end of Michael's turn. Is in a flurry and a hail of strikes.
1, 2, 3, 4. How many balloonies can I kill with my sword?
These these heliophids are looking rough, getting down to very low numbers. Oldman, what do you wish to do?
Well, it seems nothing. Now, I'm going to release the foxes. So many foxes. All the foxes. Oh, well, there we go.
Is that a
third level
Scorching Ray?
Yes.
All right. The 10 hits. The 8 does not. Roll damage on those. Are you firing them at the ones on the ground?
Yes.
You fire out your fox fires. You strike. Are you concentrating those or all, or are you doing them all different?
All different ones.
As they kind of fly out in a wave, they hit two of the heliothids, which begin to, from the hot air, you see from the inside, they start to get bigger, like they're just going to explode. But once they get to a very large size, they just kind of float back down and are not quite taken out by the strike. One of them, though, goes all the way up and pops completely. You were off by one, unfortunately. Anything else on your turn, Oldman?
That's all for now. I just hope we survive.
Do you want to move, or do you stay where you are?
Well, we're kind of surrounded, right?
That's true, that's true. In that case, that is going to bring us then to, I believe, this Runefang next. Oh, wait. Yes, that's correct. Runefang.
Time to pop more.
You're about 30 feet below the big guy. What do you want to do? And there's 3 around you still. Or no. Yeah, 3 around you.
I'm going to attack those 3 with magic missile.
Alright. Go ahead and... Alright, as the magic missiles course outwards, I'll do it in the, I will assume, optimal. So, you strike into 2 of them. The 2 of them that were already hit by your magic missiles before, this time the additional force of the second magic missile is enough to take both of those out. Those both pop and explode into space. The other one, it takes the force damage the magic missile sends it careening backwards, but it is still alive as it hisses and kind of wriggles its tentacles at you. Anything else on your turn?
Don't fuck with this bunny!
Very good. In that case, I think that's going to bring us to foe turn. You, Michael, and Oldman, both of you are still kind of on the ground, and at this point, the 3 that remain are going to go over to you.
Don't tell me I have to make 3 con saves.
I need you to make me 2 con saves, and Oldman needs you to make me 1.
Oh, okay. Okay, I think I'm good with
Oldman,
one.
you're fine. As they're kind of pumping, trying to pump helium into you with their tentacles, you're kind of pushing them back and resisting.
I don't need any more weight on these bones.
But Michael, you find yourself now doubly inflated. You have kind of 2 failures against this effect, and you're getting bigger. You're kind of in the same spot that Runefang is at, as you are now kind of floating slowly upwards. That's also Runefang. There's 1 left, and I need you to make me another Constitution saving throw as well. Yep, you're good. And you could feel that was an important one, as you are getting pretty near to bursting. And the Elder Brain's going to roll it. Nope, not a B7, even though he should get credit for it. Alright, yeah, he does not recharge his Mind Blast. So you watch as the Elder Balloon kind of floats downwards a little bit, moving a little bit, I think, closer to you, Runefang, in this instance. And actually, you know what? He's going to look over towards you, Othgarurt, who's kind of flying up and at him. And he's going to do 2 things. He's going to make a tentacle attack against you. Does a 10 hit you, Othgarurt?
No.
I assumed not. And then I also need you to make me a wisdom saving throw. And you actually also succeed on that, just barely. Damn. And for a second, you felt yourself begin to grow light, as it seemed he was casting the levitate spell on you, but it fails as it moves on to your turn, Othgarurt.
I shall continue my advancement towards the giant balloon.
All right, make me another athletics with advantage because you're raging now. Yeah, you get right up to him. You were 30 feet up already, so you get the rest of the way as you're kind of bounding between balloons, leaping across the inside of the space. You're next to him. What do you want to do?
I shall recklessly strike him with my
suspected that might be the case.
pointy freaking blade.
yeah, you're going to choose to do piercing damage. That's actually extremely relevant in this battle, that Frankenblade advantage. Go ahead and make me your attack rolls. Both of those certainly hit and roll damage. 22 points of piercing damage. This creature did not like that. As you hit it, it kind of howls out. And the howl kind of goes higher pitched as you see air is kind of now pouring out of punctures that are in the side of this creature as it's very kind of slowly deflating now. Not big enough to completely just destroy it, but it's not looking too good from that strike. As we move now to the top of the initiative. Michael, what do you want to do?
Well, I'm basically inflated, which means I only have a flying speed like Runefang now, right?
Yes, you only have a flying speed.
But that's a good thing, because if that thing moved down 30 feet and I go up 30 feet, I'll meet it exactly!
Yeah, actually, you're perfect. You can go right up to it.
I use my newfound floating ability to get up close to the thing and be like, thanks for making me float, dummy! Now I can hit you! And then I attack it.
With me. I need you to make me your attacks with disadvantage. As you find as you're swinging your arms, your balloon-like body is not moving nearly as well as your other one. And you realize that while you were floating, there are other drawbacks to being a weird balloon person now.
Oh dear. Let's find out if I hit.
A 20 does hit still.
And a 12 still hits. So...
12 does not against this guy.
Oh no? Okay then. Well then I will make that a trip attack so I can roll. It can't trip, but I will roll the D8 damage. D8 damage for the superior.
Yeah, roll it away.
6 and 8.
8 points of slashing damage. You cut kind of another rip into the side of the Elder Balloon, whose voice is kind of getting progressively higher and higher as more air is sort of leaking out. Anything else on your turn?
No, I already used my action surge, so I can't really. No, actually, no. I used my bonus action to make my cape of billow as I fly. I make it billow as I float around effortlessly like a badass.
The goofiest circular superhero, as this round Michael Verity's cape flares dramatically behind him. That's gonna bring us next initiative to Oldman. Oldman's gonna be.
Sort of being alone on the ground and still surrounded. I'm gonna throw my own magic missiles. Except, after some arcane babbling.
But of course. One on each.
Oh, wait, sorry, I thought I was rolling them in. Yes, one on each.
Alright, well, the two that you already damage, because they were both at one, both of those just kind of explode almost instantly as you strike them with a magic missile. The other one takes...
Actually, I was planning on doing that at 3rd level, which is why I like... But, never mind.
No, that's fine. You can do 2 more. Just roll.
Well, how am I gonna do this? Because I didn't
use the
set
first
up
one,
to
the roll of 11, and then just roll me 2 more d4 plus 2.
Or not.
So, we'll kind of resolve it once you hit it. I assume are those focused on the big guy or the one that's still on the ground?
The one that's still on the ground, so they're all cleared out.
Alright. Yeah.
Actually, because there's 3, because there's 5 now, I want 2 to kill the other 2,
Yep.
2 to hit the one on the ground, and 1 to hit the one by Runefang.
Alright, so I need you to roll me damage on those last 2, just to see if it's enough to finish off again. When you do that, we'll kind of... that's going to move on to Runefang. Oh, wait, there we go. So 2, 4 would be the 4. Yep, that is going to be enough to finish off the one next to you, but not enough to finish off the one next to Runefang, which... it is your turn, Runefang. What do you wish to do?
Well, I'm going to use my last spell slot
Very well.
to cast Magic Missile
Oh, perfect.
against the one, the small one that's near me, and then the
two at
The
the
last
big
two
one.
at the big guy. I gotcha. Roll it away. All right, yeah, you definitely finish off the small one near you, and then 2 more magic missiles course into the elder balloon, which kind of vibrates, and 2 more kind of puncture wounds. It's losing air more and more rapidly with each passing moment, as its telepathic voice, despite being psychic in nature, still seems to grow higher with the increase in size, as it's "Curse you! Curse all of you!" As it moves on to, I believe, this creature's turn. And all of the Heliolithids have been defeated, which means it is just the Elder Balloon. The Elder Balloon is going to lash out one of its exceptionally long tentacles towards you, Runefang. It's going to make an attack against you. To start with, which it actually has advantage against because you're a big inflated bunny right now. And why can't I find the tentacle? Oh, there it is. That's 10, 17.
Neither of those hit.
17 misses? You monster! The tentacle kind of hits your inflated armor, and just kind of bounces off. And it's going to use its other action to target... It's going to actually look down at you, Othgarurt. I'd like you to make me another wisdom saving throw. Ooh.
Sorry.
Othgarurt. You feel yourself. You feel yourself for a brief moment as it looks at you, and it kind of shouts out, "It, you will obey me!" And you find yourself now under this creature's thrall, as it is casting a Dominate spell on you. And it commands you, as it moves onto your turn, to go after your ally who's right next to you, Michael Verity.
My turn? Well,
No, it's Othgarurt's turn, and Othgarurt has been dominated. Othgarurt.
Wait,
do your
it's not my
worst.
turn? I thought it was my turn first.
Nope, it's Othgarurt is last in initiative, so it's Othgarurt's turn.
Oh, right, never mind.
And I shall pursue him.
Strike true.
Is he striking? Oh dear, not me.
He's going after you, yeah, 100%.
Well, since I have the Frankenblade in my hands already, no point in switching weapons.
Indeed. Go ahead and make me a,
Do I have to strike recklessly?
I will say that you do not have to strike recklessly.
He's inflated.
but
You
you have
already get
but-
advantage.
But you have advantage anyway because he's inflated.
Oh. Oh.
Ow and ow. Those both hurt.
Go ahead and roll me that damage.
Are you okay? 14. Oh. Hold up,
God.
hold up while I get my calculating.
That's
Calculate.
24.
That's 24 total? Oh, okay, so that's,
But as a balloon, you have
56.
vulnerability to piercing damage. Which means
oh
that
dear!
that's 48 points of piercing damage.
Oh dear, I only have 8 hit points left! Oh dear!
Okay, yeah, you watch as Othgarurt slams twice into Michael Verity's kind of inflated form, and Michael Verity, like, you feel your body kind of releasing air. If you got inflated anymore, you might have popped, so it seems that you've actually deflated a little bit, and you're back down to, like, well, actually yourself at the end of this, as you're kind of whipping around and flying around, but for that one moment, that was extremely painful. But you're no longer affected by that debuff of the helium, because you got the air knocked out of you.
But that's not a good thing, because I'm not being supported by anything, which means I'm kind of plummeting.
Yes, make me a dexterity saving throw as you begin to fall.
Can I want to try to land on the big balloon.
Yeah, we'll make me a dex save. Yeah, you're totally fine. Yeah, you're resting right on top of it as it passes to your turn, although you are on death's door.
Yeah, ow, 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 slashy, slashy, ow, 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 slashy, and, slashy,
7
ow.
misses, but 19 hits. Roll that damage.
I'm doing the D8 one thing again, so give me a second while I roll the D8 of damage. So that's 1 plus 10, 11.
enough to finish off this creature, actually. As you kind of stab down on top of it, I imagine the longsword, it's just, you're kind of riding on top of the Elder Balloon, Elder Balloon, and you just stab directly down in, and air begins to course out from all sides as you kind of get thrown off of it. It's like many balloons you've seen, the Elder Balloon just, you were all supposed to fly! And its high-pitched squeal descends into nothing as it kind of dashes around the cave and eventually falls limp, a deflated rubber sack upon the ground, as all of you have achieved victory in this kind of moment. You're still floating, those of you who were inflated to a degree, but over time you find that you can just kind of use a slight pinprick to lower some of the pressure and eventually return to normal. So yes, you all kind of return, all return above ground to where you find Soam.
Leading out, I want to try and find that balloon holder again.
Yes, of course. The balloon holder, or the balloon death kiss, as he was, and you move up to the death kiss. Oh, hello! It's good to see you back. You had words with the Elder Balloon.
Is dead.
Yeah, I literally popped some sense into him, finger guns.
Yeah! Dun, dun, dun. And that's probably going to be the end of this particular adventure, as each of you gets a point of
the CSI reference for the win!
And each of you gain 200 Bartholomew bucks, your fabled tier rewards. Although you had one more thing you want to say, Oldman?
No, I just want to know his name, and if he wanted to come home with me.
And he kind of looks at you for a while. I've never been anywhere other than the Underdream before. I don't know.
It'll be great. You can come for dinner.
I don't think I can leave this plane. Well, at least not until the next time the season is right. You see, we dreams, there's a certain time frame in which we can be on your plane. But I would love to come to dinner at that time.
Oh, great. I'll come back and visit you sometime. I'll just ask Soam.
Absolutely wonderful. And with that, we'll call this adventure closed.